It is live. You two, don't give me a dog holding an electrical cable. I would like to actually see my... Thank you. Right, stream spectators. War grooves delayed due to time zones. But will still be happening this weekend. Okay. YouTube chat going. We're good. I need to join my own stream. Okay. Hey there, Frog. How's it going? Oh my gosh, I got 20 turns to take. Oh, we better take them. Do something like that, I guess. Do I want to build a tank first anywhere? I guess here, I don't really need more infantry out of here, so we'll have to grab a tank. Also double recon. I think I need more infantry up here. I'll grab a tank down here. You lost the game in a single real life day? That happens. Oh no! That must have been quite the rude awakening. Yeah, I mean, building 2 to 3 artillery as max is very difficult to come back from. That minus to range it's rough. What's this map again? Oh, that's right. Let's see, if I'm here, we go 1, 2, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So I can do this. And if he steps there, I can smack him. It's just such an awkward capture game. Oh, hey Megton. Hey the Llama Sama. Glad to see you here. So probably get a lander here. Oh no, he's got a battlecopter. If I load into this, drop off here or something. I guess drop off here is not that bad. I guess I don't even have to drop that off. I can just boost it. Up. Wait. I guess we will boost it. And then I'm not sure if I do that, right? I probably do. I think I get a lander. Such an early lander, but it is high funds, so it's probably fine. Okay. Heyo. Well, thank you for the luck. Yeah, I mean, it's okay to pick. It might even be good to pick max in the future, just so you can get used to different play styles. Kind of like forced to do so. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. This doesn't cover that, right? Yeah. This is fine. Let's take this guy out. Make sure that's not a dangerous place to go. Actually, I should probably be more up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That way I'm helping guard this other stuff as well. Like so. Yeah. The bonus movement and just how much damage, of course, he gets is... It's really good. Definitely hard to oversell. Even if I move that guy. If I move him forward, he can just smack him and start taking my city very easily. Maybe I move him to here. Yeah. And this is looking very good. He's got kind of a push coming in on my HQ, but he doesn't really have anything over here that can kill the black boat. And his anti-copter forces are split between the two fronts, or will have to be split between the two fronts, or he'll just get warded off by a single battlecopter. And I'm up by 6k, so looking good. Good for good for Max. Well, he didn't use his power. Well, I'll just take these lovely cities, and then we want to stop this city capture for sure. We've got some anti-copter forces. I probably can't stop this anymore. Yeah. He's gonna get that city. He's spending this recon. That one's a goner. You can go here, I guess. Sure. Oh, I wish the 1 health recon was still up and running. Bring these tanks on over. Definitely should have checked. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. And we have our big boy tank here. I think we just block him down here so he can't get the comm tower. Just be generally incredibly annoying. A little backup infantry for these captures. My anti-copter copters. And let's get a little wave of anti-air. And another recon. You just sit there and suck up a unit's movement. Not sure if the copters can get up here at all. I can't really move it down like I'd want to. You go over here, I guess. It's gonna always be covered. No, I should have them up here to help protect this city. Nice and annoying. It's always going to be worth it because of unit count. These copters are going to be a lot better than my copters, but it doesn't super matter. I just need the units. Oh. You're currently in a max fog mirror. There's lots of strategy and tactics with max. There's lots of max tactics. Anyone that's got stronger firepower gets different like sacrifices available to them. Which is always really fun. It's starting to get closer, yeah. Or harder now, you're getting closer to the 1100s. Yeah, that's one of the places that a lot of people plateau for a while, including yours truly. I'm gonna try and get him to force me to build something over here. Yeah, you get different sacrificial ranges and everything. And more effective lower health units. I could do that, but he's got a tank. So probably shouldn't. One, two, three, four, five, six. Just start getting my own tanks over here. do the boost over the mountains. If he hadn't built the tank here, I probably would go for this attack. And of course, I can always go to mech. Maybe not quite yet for the mix. I guess I should have gotten a tank here last turn to stop this. Then he would have just gotten a tank. It's fine. I kind of need you to go this. Alright, fine, we will do this. Tank. Artillery. Tank. Okay. It's gonna get nasty. Ugh. Here and then 1, 2, 3. Doesn't matter. Awkward. Go here. It doesn't let me get these much sooner. Okay. Let's hope for a nice peaceful game with no harassment. Oh, wow, it just kind of lets me get this. Well. Go here. There's no point going for these cities, right? I mean, I guess I can go for them. I just end up losing to the recon eventually. I can go for these properties. And when I build a tank next turn, it can help me out against the recon. Maybe I go for this city, though. I don't think I could possibly hold this city. Yeah. This is a city I could potentially hold. Even if he hits me once, it's okay. I shouldn't end up losing the infantry unless he's willing to take the tank shot. Oh. Should be fine. I know. Stole my penguins from me. It messes me up every time I look at the game. I guess I could get an artillery. That's... I guess a recon from here is not even that bad. It forces a tank out here. It does delay this capture, I guess. The recon from here does not force a tank. Because if he landers over here, and then the recon moves here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I can't reach. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, I could go that way and hit him. You'd have to keep the lander here. This guy can always interrupt there. Okay. I was robbed. What a weird boost. I should have gotten here with the recon. Oh no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It wouldn't matter. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, it wouldn't matter. Whew. Do I let him get this little block off? Just to delay his capture for a turn? I think so. I think it's worth it. I should have got here. Doesn't matter. Have I... Did something die? That died. Double tank. Okay, well, we're not sending our tank into that. One, two, three, four. Probably need to get you on the front lines pretty quick. Get a mech. We definitely battle copter, artillery. Infantry. This is kind of risky. You guys have two very forward tanks over there. Probably fine. I guess it's fine. Let's try and put more pressure on the side. And get out of there. Scary stuff over on that little city. Are stealths allowed? Some maps have stealths, but they're not universal. This is the fabled base skip for double transport. We'll see if it's any good. I wish my penguins could just kind of swim across these reefs. And then over this probably. This doesn't help. I think this is the more important transport copter. I would not double transport copter for double base skip. That sounds bad. So we'll delay our next transport copter a little bit. Could actually get a recon here, I guess. That'll leave me with 8,000 next turn, which is enough for transport copter triple infantry. Sure. No one expects the weak side recon. The weakest link. Okay. I guess I might as well do it from there. It doesn't super matter. Debatably, I'd delay that a turn, right? I'm getting a tank. If I delay this a turn, the tank can cover it. Okay, we'll do that. Does mean I'll have less in the middle, though. That's okay. That lets him get to this city right away. The dude. Watch some speedruns. Speedruns are hype. Are you watching oh my god. Awesome games done quick. Oh, I'm almost done with these games. Yes, I do want to capture that. I mean, recon seems pretty bad against Bolt, so We'll just stick to infantry. Already taking this turn. Already taking this turn. Okay. They're trying to trick me. All right. Time for some replays. Transition. So I just finished a game against Comp.by in a tournament. I figure I can cover that game. In this amazing Jugger versus Cole match. On the map, what's this map called? Amber Valley. I'd never played on this map before. This was my first time playing on it, although I think I had seen some replays that viewers had submitted on it. Another stunning win. I guess we'll find out. But the game literally finished minutes before the stream started, so this is hot off the press. And this is part of a tournament being run by Master Combi / multi-topic talk. So the time controls are very weird, but not bad. You gained I think you gained 6 days on your clock for every turn, but the max turn length was 3 days, so you could never run out of time. In the overall way, but yeah, you'd have three days to take your turns, and there's quite a few turns I took like the full 3 days on, just trying to really map stuff out and take breaks and come back to it, that kind of thing. I think the last like 4 turns were all today, so that was relatively live. There was short bursts of activity, I guess. And here we go. Of course, you go for your neutral base first, and something to keep in mind is this is a tier 4 match, but Jugger and Flak are allowed, and I think that Jugger and Flak are much closer to tier 3 than tier 4. Just because the luck damage is very strong. It lets you do things that no one else can really do. And I don't think it really played a big part in this game, but the fact that they have their luck damage on the counterattack can be a big deal. Oftentimes you don't want to hit their infantry that are sitting on cities with a vehicle, because you'll like hit them down to 5, and then they luck you down a whole hit point. How do I map things out over several days? Well, you take your first attempt at it, you use the move planner, and you see like what you can come up with as your initial plan, and then you leave it, and then you come back and make another. You can either look at what you just did and see if you see any mistakes that you looked over. There we go. In your first attempt, or you can make a new attempt. It's very often that the first plan you make has a bunch of flaws in it, and you're not going to see those flaws in the moment. But when you give yourself time to get to no longer be like stuck in that mindset, you can come back and be like, oh no, that would have been a horrible mistake. I would have lost in like 5 turns because of these reinforcement routes, or my units are going to get distracted in some way. Which is all stuff I'm not doing on the stream games, because those are supposed to be much faster, and I'm not using the move planner at all for those. So of course you want to go for this city over this city, I imagine, always, because this is a more forward city, and from this city you can step to here, which gives you options to go for this city or contest these cities. I don't usually save the move plan. Well, sometimes I do on accident, but I don't usually save it. I usually just have memory for it in my head, but you can save it. So I think this is a mistake from comp buy right away, going for this city, because these cities in the middle here, there's this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. These are all the contested cities, and you can reach one of them right away if you go to this missile platform. And if you don't go to the missile platform right away, I am able to contest it. And by golly, I will contest it. So as soon as I saw this capture, I was like, oh, I've already got a nice game plan, a way to get an economic advantage in the game. As you see, I go for this, straight for this capture. I debated on this one a lot, if I should go for this right away, and I decided I needed to go for this right away because I was doing this missile platform launch, so I would need the economy from this. I don't know if it's so much good memory as lots of practice. Once you've done, played a lot of games, you can kind of do a lot of it in your head mentally. You can look at board states and all that stuff. So this is this made me very happy that he went back for this. And it's sure, we'll give him a little bit of a longer or shorter term economic advantage over me, but it means he's not going to be going for this city very quickly. It also means he's not going to be able to contest me in the middle here very well, because he's only got 1 forward infantry instead of 2. So now he goes up like this, which is pretty much the only place you could go from here. He threatens to capture these 2. And then he doesn't get a recon. He had the choice to get a recon. That would have been a way to delay me from taking this, but it wouldn't super work, because I would have enough money for a tank, and a tank from here reaches this city. So I understand why he didn't get a recon, but he could have gotten one. Of course, I go for the contested city right away. From here, I go to this city. I thought about going down here first to go for this city, to have another infantry in this kind of middle fight, but I thought that would delay my economy too much, and I wouldn't be quite able to get the vehicles I want, which I was mapping out at the time. So I get this tank. This tank's job is 1, next turn it's going to be able to easily cover this infantry going for one of these captures, and 2, it immediately denies this capture from him, which is one of the very contested properties on the side here. And you'll note how strong this infantry is on this missile platform. It can threaten to take this capture, it can threaten to take this capture, it can threaten to take this capture, as well as interrupt any of those captures. And it's also on a missile platform, so it's annoying to strike. And then I saw that he's not really going for these contested properties, so I'm not going to invest in infantry down here to kind of provoke him to start going for them. Instead, I will pick up this property so I can go for my middle contested property sooner. Okay, he goes for this. That's because my tank can't reach him. And now he's going towards the middle here, which is fine, but it does kind of leave him without much protecting him up here. And now he's on this also. He's also now on the missile platform that's really strong, but there's a key difference. I'm going to finish my cap before he can act on me. That's not the case here because I went for this sooner. And he goes for a tank, but there's a big difference in that I didn't put an infantry forward for him to actually deny taking this city because, well, he builds a tank and stops me, and so instead I go over here where he can't stop me. Oh yeah, like look at this. If I go down with my infantry, reminding him to stop me, he basically gets free tempo with this tank build because now my infantry doesn't get the capture it wants. Now if I'm not going for this property and he still builds the tank, he just doesn't get that free tempo. He just has a tank. So this is I found this to be a very I don't know, sketchy is not the right word, but strange move to go into this mountain. But I think it's just because he's built the tank over here. He can't really reinforce this property in any other way. It's just very unfortunate for him because it means he's not going to be getting this property as fast as like I am. Which means he'll have to send like this guy up here, and then this guy has to come over for the airport. It just really messes with his capture game. So there's my little back caps. Now I finally go for this city. I'm able to go for this city because I'm going to build a tank here. I think. No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to build a tank. Yeah. I don't need to build a tank because I'm going to get this property when I finish. Yeah. I've already... Okay. He's only got one thing that can hit me. So I'm totally fine. I'm on a city and it will be another infantry. That's good, yeah. Refraining from teching up so that your opponent doesn't tech up is good. That's definitely a valid strategy I would recommend. See, I go for this because I've already gotten the contested property I wanted. And I don't need it here to reinforce. Because this isn't a recon. Or this isn't a recon, it's a tank, and the tank can't reach. And then I interrupt him here. Because, of course, I have a vehicle on the way. And I have 2 infantry against his 2 infantry. And it's kind of awkward for him to kill this infantry. Because the infantry on the mountain here can't strike him unless he gets off of this city. And if he gets off of the city, he has 2 choices. He can either strike from this city. Or he can strike from the mountain. And in either case, this tank would be able to clobber him. And then I get a recon, because I want to send the tank elsewhere if I can. And the recon very handily also covers this all the shenanigans here. And now if he gets a tank in response to this tank and recon, I have tank to fight his tank, and then I still have the recon to go after the infantry. Yeah, also I'm on the strong side. I can be much more aggro. That's very true. I have 2 sources to get infantry from, where he only has 1. So I can very gladly interrupt his caps with my infantry. But I do note, of course, that I'm probably going to lose this guy, and I would like to get this property. And I only have one full health infantry over here who will probably go for this property. So instead of sending this guy back for this property, I'm going to send him down so he can get this one. And then I'll just build an infantry from here to get this. I think it's probably a pretty big mistake to actually send this guy over here, because this is such a contested area. You need to get there with as many infantry as possible, as fast as possible. I think in the other replay I saw on this map, they also went for this this movement. I think it's wrong. The downside from sending the infantry to build from this base back is that you have one less in the middle fight, which is true and could, in theory, be a big deal. But it is a lot harder to contest this property than it is to contest this property. So I think this is usually going to work out better for you. But I could see coming up with a strategy and a game plan that involves using this infantry. Or I'll actually build it to fight in the middle rather than this guy fighting on the sides. Okay, so he didn't build a vehicle in response to my tank on his weak side, probably because he doesn't want to get into a vehicle fight. Yeah, that's just because of where these properties are, and I don't think it's reasonable that I'm going to get this property or this property. So I'll go for the property that I can get reasonably in a way that he can't really interrupt, just because of the timing, and then I'll go for the properties that I can also get without getting interrupted, which in this case are these back properties. And then, yeah, when I built my tank over here, he did not build a tank in response on his weak side, probably because he doesn't want to get into a big fight like that on his weak side against my strong side. He instead mirrored it and built a tank on his strong side. So this recon's going to be pretty good at tipping the balance. Because now when he builds a tank, of course, I have 2 vehicles to 1, even if recon's a lot weaker. And I have all 3 contested properties to still fight over. Where he's got, he's only really got the 2. This is my first time playing on the game. Or playing on the map. I think it might have been added to the map pool recently or something. So in comes the recon. Now I get to go for this city. Now this is in place to go for this city. And I'll start sending my tank over to the center here because these are the next contested properties to fight over. And it's still in range to help out with this city if it needs to. And now there's, of course, a very immediate threat on this property. So I'm going to have to build a tank here, which likely covers it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And he can, in theory, if he wanted to stop this cap, he could go like tank, infantry, kill it, and then put his infantry on the city. And I see that coming, so I move my infantry out of there. And now, since my infantry is not on there, when he goes for that combo, I can... Well, for one, he can't go for the combo anymore. But now if he goes for the city, I can interrupt him. And then this infantry is also in place to interrupt this city. And it's covered by this tank very, very nicely. Why did I not go artillery? That's just because I need something to cover the city next turn. If I build an artillery, he can just start capping the city and then kill all my stuff. So I need something that can fight next turn, not the turn after. But don't worry, there will be plenty of artillery. There are definitely some choke points and mountains and the like around. Okay. So now he's going for the contested. I let him get this one. So he so far has gotten one of the contested properties. Of the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're currently 1 for 1. He does a similar thing moving his tank, which I found very interesting. Because he's got like active presence here to try and take my stuff, and he kind of needs to defend this capture against this infantry interrupt with my base support. So I found this very interesting. But I guess what he was thinking is he's going to protect this infantry as it's going for a contested property, and I have a tank over here, so he needs to protect it somehow. He's bringing another tank. He's not bringing the tanks up here, which I found odd. I think that's probably because he's just worried about the tank getting first struck. But if you're building a tank behind it, you don't need to worry about that. You'd win if I first strike you. But that just means that this property is going to be pretty much free for me to take. And he didn't move this infantry. I'm not sure why. I guess it's just because he's worried about the recon hitting it. Well, I get to have some... This is a big turn in the game. Well, I'll be taking... I'll do Commander Wars replays another day once I'm familiar with how its replay system works. So this is going to be a deciding turn in the game. I'm going to have a lot of tricky plays, I guess. So of course I go for this interrupt on the contested property. It's kind of the whole point of this guy being here is to either interrupt this cap or this cap. I get to go back for this property, go back for the airport. I get to have this one for free, which is nice. It's always good when you get a contested property for free. And then I go for this strike, which is, it's not game winning, but it puts me in a very nice position because not only does it damage the only infantry he has in range to start capping the contested property, but it also stops his infantry from interrupting me from taking this contested property. Because you can go 1, 2, 3, can't reach, 1, 2, can't reach. Now it does give him a free tank shot on my tank, but the combination of denying one property and gaining a property will, I calculated, will end up working out much better in the future. I'm gonna go I'll lose 6 tank health for 2 tank health, but this is going to be equivalent to 2,000 monies every turn that he's not getting this property, and I have this property, so it's going to quickly outscale the short-term loss. So yeah, now if he wants to interrupt this capture, he has to do it with his tank, which means this would be a free interrupt basically for me, and then I would also get the tank first strike, which is very nice, as well as this tank. So I would just kill his tank. And then on this side, I go for a recon interrupt on the contested property, even though he can get a tank shot from the city. But the only way he gets a tank shot on me, doesn't show it here, is that if he gets off the city. So he has to completely give up the city cap if he wants to hit me. And he's probably not going to kill me because there's no comm tower. Even though I'm on the road, he's not getting his coal bonus because he's attacking from a city. There isn't a comm tower. If he wants to use his infantry in combination with the tank to kill the recon, he has to lose the infantry because it would have to strike first from the mountain. So because this recon's so well protected on the flanks, I felt very comfortable going for this. I thought it was a very good contested property denial. And then I build an artillery because then I can immediately lock down the city and he will not be able to ever get it once the artillery is in position. Because the artillery will not only be in position to lock the city, it will also be in base reinforcement range, which makes it very risky to attack. And then I get an artillery over here because I want to also lock down this contested property, and I would like to use it as well to push and lock down this contested property using these choke points. Because so far I've denied him 1, 2, 3 contested properties, and if I manage to keep him at minus 3k income in comparison to me, I'm going to very quickly overtake him in value and just win the game. As well as probably unit count, because I'll be able to afford producing battlecopters every turn. And then, of course, I only step 2 because I don't want him to be able to first strike my infantry and kill it. If I would have loved to be able to step 4 and stand here, and then his tank wouldn't have been able to hit my tank, and it would have just been a really, really good turn. Or at least he would have had to. Oh, he would have had to just go for the infantry kills. He still got the first strike. He steps off. Tank comes up, hits me. Down to 1. He gets to 8-4 on here. If I was him, I probably would not have gone for this. It's very risky to go for attacks like this against like Jugger and Flak, because this 5 health infantry, could take a whole health off of this tank, which would be a big deal. How do I handle the bad luck? You just gotta accept. You just gotta accept that sometimes you're gonna get unlucky. Sometimes you're gonna get lucky, and sometimes you're gonna get unlucky, and you want to have as many backup plans to any attack you're doing. So he got 8-4, and that's because I had retaliation damage. I had chip damage from hitting this infantry. Normally this would be like outrageously lucky. Maybe even impossibly so lucky. But I had chip damage on me. So it's not so bad. So yeah, he gets a nice first strike here. But I already have another tank in the area, so I'm not going to end up giving up properties because of this tank shot. And instead, of course, I'm gaining a property and denying this property. Well, yeah. If you're just a normal CO and you're trying to do luck stuff or calculating attacks, you just take the minimum rolls and then you make the attacks that the minimum roll gets you what you want. But of course, you can't do that as Jugger because your luck range is far too wide. So you just gotta accept that sometimes it's not going to go your way and other times it will. Well, what's really important when you're playing any of the Luxios is that their unit count matters more than anything else, because luck damage doesn't care about the damage matrix. So as long as you've got more stuff to make more attempts at luck rolls on, you can kill anything. And usually you don't really want to go for units that hit very hard, because then they get hit harder, or they dislike the bad luck even more. But economically and positionally, the artillery are kind of forced. And this is the value of like a 1 health unit. Now I should probably talk about this. So I made sure that this wall was not breakable to the artillery. This tank, yeah, here. Stop. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This tank cannot reach this recon. The only unit that can reach this recon is this tank. The only thing that can reach this 7 health infantry are these 2 tanks and this full health infantry. So, if he wanted to hit my artillery with a tank, he needs to clear these 2 guys without using both tanks, which is something he can do. Let's see if I got this right. Or it'd be something he could do if the 7 health infantry wasn't here, I guess I should say. If it was like here, he could do it, because he'd be able to wrap a tank around this way, and then the full health could come over to this tile and kill this, and then the tank could hit me. But because this is here, he can't get the 10 health to hit this without first killing this. And he has to do that without using this guy. And the 5 health infantry can't reach it. Not that they would need to. He'd have to spend a whole tank shot to kill this. But then he also has to spend the tank shot and the full health to kill this guy. And then he's just out of tanks and he gets hit by the artillery. But if the 7 health was like on the city, or if it was here, then he would be able to clear this. So it had to be in this spot. This is basically what I'm trying to say. And then again, I don't really care that this infantry is not covered. It's really risky to hit Jugger infantry, especially on a city. The luck roll can just take a whole hit point off of your vehicle. And then if he goes for the wall break, not only can the artillery shoot him, but this tank can hit him. And I'm bringing all of these infantry over to not only deny the city, but potentially go for the capture on it. And I get this artillery because there's another contested property I would love to lock down. So if I can, I'll use infantry to deny this. Probably sacrifice some infantry to deny it and get the artillery in this forest. Get some sort of wall going for it and then permanently deny this. And then I'll be able to have 2 permanently denied, which is a guaranteed 2k money over him every turn. And then I would just have this next one to deny. And then this is, of course, an obvious target for me to try and take. And then last turn, he didn't continue his capture on this. He hit me back, which knocked him down to 4 health. So he can't actually threaten to take this next turn because he didn't just continue the capture. So I just back off with this 4 health infantry. Save it for a future interrupt. All right. We got the artillery in place with a tank. We have a nice denial going on of this area. And it's important to note that this tank can make it to this forest, which can deny this property if it goes there next turn. But of course, I don't want to move over here to like signal that I want to go over there. I want to move over here, keeping this tile in range. Okay, he's definitely prepping to take this property. And now he has 3 tanks over here. But it's important to note that these 2 tanks do not cover this square or this property. He only has 1 tank covering this tile. He goes for the hit over here. I think that's probably a mistake. One, there's a potential luck roll, but it's also not a huge deal that he just hit my infantry. It'll cost me some repair value, which is annoying. But I love these tanks being on the far side of the map when I'm trying to like stop him from taking this city. I'm trying to stop him from taking this city, and then these 2 tanks are way to the left, so I can kind of do whatever I want. Yeah, he did join cap this, so now he is threatening to capture it next turn. So I gotta do something about that. But there's a very nice wall here, and he doesn't actually have an infantry threatening to step onto this mountain. So I can use the mountain as part of a wall. All right, artillery behind the tank. Now I had to hit him here. Even though he was at 4 health and he wouldn't be able to complete this capture, I have to knock him lower. Because if he's at 4 health, he can step here and then sacrifice into this infantry and then clear the infantry with one of these tanks, and then his tank can come in and hit my artillery. So I need to knock him down to 2 so he doesn't have that sacrifice option available to him. And then, of course, because I have an artillery behind the tank, if he uses his tank to hit mine from the city, I get an artillery shot on him. He could probably overrun me. It'll be a tough fight because I'm still really close to my base. But he does have a lot of tanks over here. So if he super went for it, he could probably overrun me. But it would have been a brutal fight, and he wouldn't have gotten the property. And he wouldn't have the support to take this property anymore. And I moved this tank over here in anticipation of him going for this strike and bringing more tanks in. And of course, the battlecopters have started because I'm a luck-based CO, so I want as many units as possible. I'm going to do another fancy little wall and make it so he can't get to this artillery without having another artillery hit him. So he can wrap around and hit this artillery with one tank. Not killing it, but like knocking it down to 4 or something. And then this artillery would hit him. And note, of course, that this artillery is still in range to move into this forest should things work out how I want them to. So he doesn't go for the tank shot because of the artillery. Instead, he's getting in place to lock this property. The one contested one he actually has right now. And then he's just pretty much putting almost all of his tanks into the middle to get a contested property. And I looked at this for the full 3 days. I was down to like 2 hours when I finally took this turn. And I think this is the first turn I took today. So everything else that happens all happened today. Kind of like one after another. And I was trying to figure out a way that I could stop him from getting this and then have a wall that could actually hold up. But he just has too many tanks and too many infantry in range to hit my infantry that I could not find a good wall. So I go for this, which was it was a potential. I could potentially high roll this to kill his artillery, or kill his tank, and then get my infantry in to hit his artillery. But it's not even like, it's not that bad that I don't get it, because it puts a lot of pressure on him over here, which means he's going to have to divert something, probably this tank, from his middle presence, which will relieve a lot of pressure from me here and make it so I don't lose my property lock. And potentially I'd be able to get this city from him. Well, this is a classic maneuver. You just kind of put your artillery in range of their artillery, and his artillery is really overloaded. It has 3 targets, and I'm not even upset if he shoots mine because I'm on a city. So I'll just heal 2 and shoot him back. So I couldn't. I have to join my infantry to have enough money to buy another infantry, which gives me a nice fully healed infantry, so it's not that bad. So I have this makeshift wall. The key infantry on the mountain here, kind of difficult for him to clear because there's no comm tower. It takes at least 1 tank, and I think it's a roll for the infantry. And then this infantry is not protected, but that's okay. It's serving its role and just making the general wall very good. Alrighty. He tries to take it out. No comm tower means it's hard to do. Hey, Boo Man. That is a high roll. I'm pretty sure, because he's not on he's not on the road. So I did not expect his tank to one-shot my tank at 7 health. I thought I would live with 1. But my artillery is okay. I do have a backup tank. And I'm still successfully denying properties. And of course, threatening this one. So he took his free shot over here. But of course, now these tanks are very vulnerable. And I've got my normal power. So I will use it. And what I really, really want here is for this artillery to kill this tank in combination with infantry rolls so that my tank can hit his artillery from this missile platform. But that's a bad roll. Very unfortunate. So instead I end up investing my tank to hit his tank, which also gets a bad roll. That's a decent roll there. It could do up to 5 damage. Doing 2 is pretty decent though. That's an okay roll. That's an okay roll. So I'm not getting anything outrageous. That's pretty decent though. 2 damage for the infantry. Sadly, that guy did nothing. If he had gotten a good luck roll, that would have died, and then this infantry could come in or this infantry could come in and get another luck roll on this. Yeah, and this tank somehow lives this. So I didn't get outrageous luck. Like I could have. Which is unfortunate. But I still have very strong positioning over here. I still have plenty of units. And I have a nice economic advantage. So I can afford to have these losses or these failed rolls. I was wondering if he was going to try and go for his super or his normal power. I think his super opened up some more possibilities, specifically in striking this tank, I think. And my that was also an unlucky roll, because my power is still active, so I still have the outrageous luck ranges. So any counterattack, so he loses a hit point off of there. That was just reasonable. I think that's still lucky for him. I don't know if I get any outrageous luck rolls on the defense here. That's an outrageously bad luck roll. That's a normal-ish luck roll. Yeah, I don't think I get one. That's a decent luck roll, I guess. That's a bad luck roll. Okay, so that power was kind of a flop. But it's okay. He had to dive in on me a lot to get those attacks. So I can clean up a lot of this stuff in a very safe fashion. My artillery weren't hit. So everything I'm attacking here, I'm also being well defended. And then, of course, I'm also Jugger. So if he keeps his copters, like if he keeps building copters and then tries to pressure this area too much, the next time I get a power, I'm going to have a lot of spare infantry to go for luck rolls on them. Which is very dangerous. If I go for this tank shot, that's just because it's he's in a kind of an awkward situation over here because he's got his copters over here. He doesn't build an anti-air last turn. So these copters are kind of protecting a lot over here, and he's going to have to, if he wants to take this out, he only has 2 very healthy tanks, and that means he wouldn't be able to kill my artillery, which would be ideal. So he's going to get a lot of first strikes here. I think that's a luck roll for me there. Barely lives, but it lets him keep this 9 health around. But of course, I have a tank here that can sit on this to hit him back, so it's not that bad. Because I'm fighting basically in base range, a lot of the engagements can be very swingy. So I'm very happy that he stuck around over here with these copters. He's kind of forced to because he lost all of his other vehicles, and I am threatening these properties. I found this very funny. He moves the infantry up. I mean, it's good. He moves this infantry up so that my tank can't get through and start beating up on these other vehicles. When do you usually buy an anti-air? I see no one has built one yet. Well, I did build one, but usually if we're not building one yet, it's because we're going to be relying on our copters to zone the other copters. But as soon as I decided to not engage in a copter battle over here, I was like, all right, time to get an anti-air. Usually you would get an anti-air as they build a copter if you're not getting a copter to answer it. So this, of course, looks a lot scarier than it actually is. Because I do have 2 copters. This anti-air, even with this power, doesn't cover like anything up here. So I'll be able to kill a lot of stuff here. Like so. And then these copters are completely uncontested still. And now my anti-air is over here, and it's able to protect everything but this infantry, I think. I go for an infantry roll because I'm on a city. So I'm not going to take much back, and I'll quickly heal up. So I might as well go for the luck roll, and I managed to take a hit point off. I tried to go for the luck roll here because he had enough units to just kill me off for pretty much free. But I didn't get it. So there's just some more chip on this guy. And then because I have 19k a turn to his 17k, I can keep up this tank, infantry battlecopter building, which will help maintain my unit count, which is very, very, very important when I'm playing a Luxio. It's like the most important factor. And then I thought he was going to use his power next turn. And anywhere I put this guy, he would get beat up by these infantry with the extra movement. So I just went for the first strike with him. It also, of course, slows down his potential capture of this property or this property. But it's debatable. You could definitely just try and keep him further back. Hey, Fluffy. I have a tendency to use anti-air against infantry if the air units are far as in advance than attack and infantry. Is this good or bad? It's only good if they have no way of punishing you. Usually you'll want to keep your anti-air zoning their copters. If their copters aren't threatening anything and they don't have a tank to hit you back, then yeah, go after this infantry. So this is, of course, the one unit over here not actually protected by the anti-air, so you can go for that. And of course, all of these guys are protected by the 6 health artillery. You can still hit pretty hard. And then this was a... I think this is the game-ending move, because that's that 2 health copter was protected by my anti-air. So it's going to be ending up trading a full health copter for a 2 health copter. And this shot is very questionable to me. It knocks me down to 8, but I repair up to 10. And now he just has a very exposed artillery, and he also doesn't have a very walled off anti-air. Yeah, he could potentially have just gone in with these copters and been like, well, you can only shoot down 1. But as we'll see, of course, I go for the hit that doesn't need the power. And then I can kind of, because copters don't have any armor or any defense, I get full luck ranges on these strikes. So like this first one wasn't great. The second one did 4 damage. And of course I get this. This is a good luck roll, knocking him down to 2 when he's on the missile platform. And now he just has a 2 health anti-air. Another 3 damage there. Another 2 damage there. And this is one of the nice things about Luxios is every unit can fight copters when your powers get up. Because they don't have any defense stars. So they don't have anything helping them against luck rolls, and you can just take, like, these aren't all good luck rolls, but all you really need is 1 good luck roll. So you just kind of keep going for them. And eventually you'll get one. I think I got 2 that were really good. This one was really good, and I think there was a really strong one on this guy. But now, of course, he's in a lot of trouble. I've got 3 copters. He's got a 2 health anti-air, a 6 health copter, and a 2 health copter. So all of his ground forces are in a lot of danger. I'm also taking one of the contested properties. So at this point, I'm pretty sure he's in resign mode and he's just going for the attacks that he sees. But you can see I'll clean this up pretty easily if the game continued on. I've got 2 copters staring at it. I have a tank here, a 6 health tank, 4 health anti-air, bunch of infantry, full health tank, copter, tank. So if the game continued on from this point, he would have just lost his whole army. And there you go. So I think I'm going to have more losses than him, probably. Yeah, I lost 3 more units than him, but of course it ended on his turn, so that makes sense. But you can see that even though it ended on his turn, and if it's your turn, you want to have half a turn more income than your opponent generated, but he's like half a turn behind in income, which means he's a full turn behind in income, if that makes sense. On his turn, he's generated half a turn less when he's supposed to have generated half a turn more. So the economic advantage I managed to secure in those contested properties put me a full turn ahead of him economically. So I can afford the slightly more losses. You can actually probably see per turn here. Yeah. So from like turn, I don't know, that turn 7 and onward. So half the game, I had more money per turn than him. By a lot. And that was just from playing more towards for the contested properties that I could, and going for the that tank strike on turn 7. This one. Because I secured this property while denying this property and brought this tank away from defending over here. So that's 2 property denials and 1 property capture off of giving him a tank first strike. And so anyway, that's why you want to identify the contested properties and really, really play for them. Like, it's okay to delay going for your safe properties as long as you can get these contested properties that in the long run will work very much in your advantage. But this was also, I think, maybe both of our first time playing on this map. So I'd have to see some more high-level player games to see if there's others, like other strategies and gimmicks to the map, maybe that would be good to use, rather than what I went for with the contested properties. I could see potential rushes or something going on. Maybe even going for the airport really early. You're very much in a panic about your casual Normandy game? Oh no. What's going on? How long should you delay safe cities? You pretty much you delay them until you don't have other targets for your infantry to go for without cannibalizing captures. Yeah, the contested properties, usually you look at it from the range of tanks. But it's really the range of any equal unit, I guess. Any property that both players get to in the same or very close to same number of turns are contested properties. Your opponent has like 4, likely more tanks in the middle, and both sides are falling. That sounds nasty. So something to keep in mind for capture games is it doesn't matter what order you go for your captures in the long run. We tell new players to go for the closest captures first, because that gets you your money sooner, so you can build vehicles sooner, so you don't die. Just straight up, just so you actually have something you can fight with. But if I don't go for this capture and instead walk past it and walk down here and then go for this capture and then later go for this capture, that's still going to give me the same amount of money in the long run, because even though I will be behind in the money I get from this property, I'll be ahead in the money I would get from this property. So I'm like down 3k from not getting this property, but I'm up 3k because I get this property 3 turns earlier. It just takes longer to equalize. Yeah, you don't even get an economic disadvantage. You just get a timing disadvantage. It's like by turn 20, you'll have, or probably by turn 10, you'll have the same amount of money as if you went for this one and then this one instead of this one and this one. But in the 5 turns or whatever it took you to get to this one instead of this one, you'll have less money. If that makes sense. So if you're starting to learn the game, the easy algorithm for a capture game is you go for the closest cities first, and you prioritize chains, which are properties that are within at least 3, or at most within 3 tiles of each other, so you can finish capturing it and then immediately start capturing the other one. And we say that so that you get as much money early on as possible, so you can build stuff and not die. But the more comfortable you get with your capture game and just playing the game in general, you can be much more flexible in what cities you want to go for. And often that means you're going to go for contested properties. And this is definitely more of a thing in standard and high funds than it is in fog. In fog, the problem is if I go for this I don't know what's coming at it, and it's very easy for my opponent to go for all their closest properties, so they get an army first, and then they just go and take the contested property from me, because I have no idea what's coming for it, and there's no way I can prepare for that. So in Fog of War, you usually do not rush contested properties. It's a very easy way to lose them. But in Standard, if I go for a contested property, I get to see the moment you build something to try and take it, and I can respond to that with an artillery or whatever. Yeah, usually you don't go aggro on your weak sides. I went a little aggro. I didn't early game go aggro, as you saw. I just had one infantry go for this, and then I did lots of back caps. The back caps were delayed, but I did go for a lot of them. And then later on, I went very aggro when his units moved away. When your opponent does like a front switch, like he was doing, the response to a front switches are, of course, very, very powerful. So he did a front switch here. Is this when he did the front switch? Yeah. He did a front switch here. He moved a bunch of stuff from here over into the middle. And how do I respond to the front switch? I attack him. I say, well, if you're going to leave this area, I am going to attack you. And it looks like a very scary attack, but you do see it works out. Because he's not in nearly the position he'd need to be to fully defeat it. Anyway, I thought that was a very educational game for contested properties. Oh, what? Chains first or contested first? Contested first. But if you're learning the game, chain first. For sure. Yeah, artilleries really need a purpose, and they need support. They need lots of support. So you saw in that game, I can go back into it. Every artillery I buy has a purpose in life. And it's a purpose in life it can achieve usually in 2 turns. This artillery, why is it bought? It's bought for economic reasons, of course. Just because of how my money lined up, but also because I want to deny this property. Why do I build this? It's because I want to deny this property. I want to try and deny this property. And then I'm going to build an artillery here. Why do I build it? Why do I buy this artillery? It's because I wanted to deny this property. I mean, I guess realistically, that's kind of what you do, at least at the higher levels. That's kind of what you do with every unit you build. Every unit has a specific purpose that you buy it for. You don't just buy a tank to have a tank. You don't buy an infantry to have an infantry. You buy your infantry to, like, I want this capture with this infantry. I want to do this. Why am I building this tank? It's because I have these contested properties I want to go for. Why am I building this recon? It's because of this fight I'm having going right here. I didn't build the recon just to have a recon. It has a purpose in life. But that's something I think you don't really develop until after you've gotten, or at least I think most people don't develop that kind of stuff until after they've got tactics down very well. And at the higher level, most people just know tactics. It's very rare for people to get surprised by tactics at the higher level. You see it all. I think the only thing that probably surprised comp by tactically this game would be this strike, and that's because it's a first strike sacrifice, and oftentimes that kind of stuff is written off as bad. So that was probably the only surprising thing that happened for my opponent. He probably saw everything else coming. But this, I would be shocked if he saw this coming, considering where he placed his stuff. But everything else, I think he would have seen coming. He would have seen this coming. Maybe some of the luck rolls. Well, he didn't see. Well, it's just a blunder down here with the copter into the AA, and I don't think he saw how deadly the luck rolls were going to be. If I go for the contested properties, I run into recons. If I take it slow, the enemy gets keys an advantage and slowly rolls over you. Okay, yeah. Well, are you talking about fog? Oh, in fog, you do not. Well, you can. I would not recommend going for contested properties in fog early on. You definitely. I support the going for your closest properties sooner in fog, because then you get the bigger army quicker. And then you can roll over them if they go for the contested properties. Is a mech plus APC a good response to a recon? No. A mech plus APC is not a good response to a recon. A good response to a recon is a tank. If they somehow don't see you place your mech into a forest, and then they strike something in range with their recon, then that will work out. But no, usually not. It's okay to be hit by a recon. You have to keep in mind that when they build that early recon, they are skipping an infantry buy for it. So even if the recon denies one of your properties, you are totally fine letting that happen. That's just like equal. And you can often react. If you've got an infantry capping a property, the recon runs up, hits you down to 5. You can just continue the capture. Bring a tank in range, continue the capture. And then if they kill your infantry, and then you strike them with a tank. It's a very easy way to kill a recon. You'd be very happy to trade your early game infantry for an early game recon in fog. Yeah, mech transport play is super fun, but it requires that you know where the fights are going to happen, so you can have your mechs in place for the fights. Because mechs cannot front switch very well. So if you build a bunch of mechs, like if I build a bunch of mechs over here, and then he did that front switch, I would not be able to do squat about it. And in fog, that happens a lot. So if you infantry or transport mech plays, it needs to be a map where you know where the fight is going to happen and you can prep for it. You don't want a map that's got ambiguous fight like combat zones. Like you probably don't want to go heavy mech transport on Stalingrad. You could do it, but you need to find a way to make sure your opponent fights you where you want them to fight you. All right, we got a game here. X time key and Zaru disobeyed. Wow. I was just talking about Stalingrad. We got Max versus Olaf. This is a classic matchup on this map. Olaf is very, very strong on this map. Very, very strong. It's a very large map, so long reinforcement routes, and there's lots of planes. and there's lots of properties. So once the Olaf super hits, it's going to hit a lot of things. It's also going to hit a lot of infantry, which will slow down all captures. And there's often a lot of air, and all the air gets slowed down by the snow. So Olaf is a very strong pick here. There's a lot of pressure put on Max to kind of perform very well. He's got, of course, a very strong day-to-day, plus 20% damage on his direct vehicles. They say direct units, but it's vehicles. His infantry do not get a buff, but his air units, anything on the ground that's a vehicle that hits something next to it, it's a buff. His submarines get a buff. His cruisers get a buff. I don't think Olaf is banned. Is Olaf banned now? So as Max, you're kind of limited in your openings against Olaf. You could do a transport opening as Max. That might even be good because there's no way your opponent would ever predict that. But usually you're either going to do lots of early recons or you're going to do a bunch of tanks. The benefit you have if you go lots of recons as Max is that you can knock infantry down to 4 instead of 5, which delays properties longer. Interesting that Olaf is going for a recon opener against Max. I would not recommend that because Max tanks will shred your recons, and I don't think you'll have any chance of living at 1 health, which you would normally have against other COs that don't have a comm tower yet. You could like interrupt a cap, get hit by the tank, live at 1, and live to vision another day. But against Max, the recons are very, very vulnerable. So far, the capture game's looking pretty decent. I wouldn't like the side captures are the only thing so far I would say I'd like to see different, because you can kind of do this in a different order that I do in the game against Master of Math. That lets you get this corner property faster. But that's okay. Things are looking pretty good. At least I think so. I don't know. Maybe I wasn't paying attention to the side captures. Yeah. Yeah, I think Max recons are really annoying, knocking your stuff down to 4. But against Max, I still would not go heavy. I would not go... Just against Max in general, I would not go heavy recons unless I was Von Bolt or I was Sturm. You need a defense. Yeah, so you see a tank, but you're in the forest, so that's fine. You only have 1 tank follow-up, so... The army's kind of split on the sides here, which isn't usually what you want to go for. You kind of have a choice of whether or not you want to play defensive or play aggressive. It looks like Disobey is trying to play aggressive because you got a very early anti-air here and a copter. But it looks like he's also trying not to be aggressive because he went for recons on both sides and he went for tanks on both sides. So if you want to go aggressive, you want everything on one side. If you want to go defensive, you can kind of split your forces and scout it out. And then keep your forces kind of more in the middle and then respond to wherever they have their strong side. If you're on the attack, which it looks like Disobey is trying to do, then you want to build the artillery really, really early, because artillery need to be in position. They don't get to move and shoot. They want to be in position right before the fight starts so they can fire. Another anti-air. You don't need to have double anti-air. I understand what's going on here. It's like I don't know where the copter's coming from, right? It's like, is it on this front? Is it going to be on this front? It's honestly not that big a deal. Just bring the anti-air with your attacking force, which is going to be the one that would encounter a copter first. And if you see a copter coming in on you on the defensive side, you can then build an anti-air over there and just kind of fall back to it. But if you also don't need to build an anti-air. If you have a copter and you're being defensive, you can use the copter as anti-copter. You just keep it back out of vision, covering units, and then once they come in with their copter, they hit something of yours, you hit them with the copter. Very interesting. You can see that the max player is the one playing very defensively. The units are very centralized. They can go to whichever front gets attacked. And they could potentially go for this comm tower, but there's not really any infantry yet that can immediately threaten it. You could get away with building max rockets usually. I wouldn't recommend it though. I definitely don't recommend max artillery. You can get use out of them. They're definitely a surprise. Good night, Shadow. But I would not recommend it. The rockets are still useful even with -1 range. But not as useful as like a medium tank. I'm not sure what's up with this recon movement. You really don't want your recon sitting on roads if you can avoid it, and you really don't want them sitting next to a city. You'd rather have them be in a city. Or in a forest, ideally. Unless, yeah. Because even if this recon's like serving as a bait, they have a great terrain tile to hit you from. I know same with like this. I think this might be just like, I guess the tank's covering this recon, but again, the tanks can strike you from the city, so you're not actually covering the recon. I know Disobeyd's a Wargroove player, so I don't know if it's just some force of habit of not being used to being able to stand on your cities. Good morning, Sly Gaming. This is kind of the death ball strategy that Comp Buy often recommends for newer fog players. And the idea of doing stuff like this is that you're going to win any fight against a smaller force. But you'll notice how slowly this is moving. So you can often, as soon as you detect a death ball, you can often get counterplay everywhere else on the map. Is basically what you want to do. And then you can use your reinforcements to start gathering a force to defend against it as it slowly moves. But what you don't do is you do not attack a death ball with a few units, which is also, it's very tempting to do. But the whole point is that there's a lot of buffers. There's lots of like infantry in the way. So you're going to end up getting either surrounded and picked off later. And then the vehicles in the back get all the first strikes they want. So death ball is really good for this kind of thing. They're kind of built for you to first strike into them and then they kill you. What they're not built for is not fighting. So you can see how effectively the death ball works here. The vehicles came forward, they killed the attackers, and then the infantry get in the way. But look at how weak the other side is, because so much has to be invested in this death ball. And now the death ball is getting close, is now close enough that an infantry can start capturing this comm tower, but artillery are going to be very nice for locking that down, assuming you fall back to it. Yeah. And then it looks like Disobeyed is kind of forming his own death ball on the other side of the map. This is not what you do. If you see a death ball, just a lot of units kind of grouped together like this, you don't go slowly onto the other side of the map. You go really, really, really fast. You hit that as fast as you can. Especially if you've got tank anti-air. There's like nothing they can do. They can't, there's like no single unit that they would build and send down there. You even have our artillery. So even if they went like a big tank, you'd have something to deal with that. You just slam into them. You're overextending on the map pretty much as soon as you cross the center dividing line. Because the moment you cross the dividing line, it takes them one less turn from their base to reach the fight, and it takes you one more turn. And as soon as that's happened, you've started overextending. And then every like 6 tiles or so past that, you will be overextending by another turn. Right now, neither player has really overextended. The dividing line in this map is right down here through the middle. This infantry is technically overextended. But they're both just kind of like on the cusp. As soon as you start, on this map, as soon as you've started going for the comm tower, you've technically overextended, but in a very light way. It's just a tiny bit of space. Okay. So the death ball has now launched itself over here. We'll see how Disobeyed reacts. What should he do? He should probably try and deny this. He should take the artillery shot on this tank, and then he should just kind of start mustering more reinforcements to fight this off. And then on this side, well, if he can, he'll kill this copter. But otherwise, it's just kill all of these infantry and start trading comm towers. This is gonna be a great pick-off. Pow! Over the comm tower. Now you also need to defend this capture. Doesn't look like it's happening. Okay, what do I mean by defend this capture? I mean, put a unit here, and a unit here. Probably. Oh, he might not be able to. Yeah, so in this case, you put a unit here and a unit here, and you're just gonna have to accept that you're gonna be delayed a little bit on this side. Probably I would put recon here, tank here, or probably actually artillery here. Go with the tank and fight something, maybe here. That way there's at least only one side open, so they can't kill it. And now there's 2 sides open, so it's a lot easier for them to delay you. So this is going really well over here. This is basically what you'd have to do. There's also the option of not even trying to delay the comm tower, which might even be the correct choice in this case, just to preserve as much infantry as possible. Pow! It's pretty scary max power. I think wasn't really that warranted, but it does help him with bringing some stuff over here. I think a lot of that, maybe just the anti-air needed it. A lot of that could have happened without the power. But you can see, because he's not able to actually block off for the comm tower capture, he's not able to get it. You're really close to your super. So I'd probably do something to get it. Looks like he's going to. Super go! Hey. Once you use the super, definitely just go in with the bomber and kill this. It'd be very hard for them to, yeah. Oh, the bomber. The bomber killed the pipe seam. That's definitely not worth it. Very rare that you'd want to kill the pipe seam here. Definitely go kill a unit with the bomber. You can see how strong, we can actually go back and see just how strong the Olaf super was. At this point, Olaf is actually still ahead because he was doing better in the capture game. Value-wise, he's just down unit count. $42, you missed my my tournament victory with Jugger. That'll be a fun one to go back and watch. Holy smokes, look how much damage that did. That almost 30,000? Yeah. Okay. Bomber shouldn't go for pipe seam. Bomber should go kill something. It's protected by the snow. You can see how it's kind of difficult for Max to quite get all the attacks he wants right now because the snow is the snow. It looks like Disobeyed can kind of just clear this all up. We'll see how it goes. I would definitely want something on this comm tower. Probably use the recon and an infantry to clear this, and then put an infantry on there to start capping, just because it's a really good threat. Okay, this bomber. What you want to do with your bomber is you want to, of course, if you can, you hit really pricey targets like a Neo tank. Otherwise, you're going to hit the most healthy thing that's closest to you, so you can, of course, keep your bomber as safe as possible. So bomber kills 8 health tank. That's like the first thing. And the other units can go in and they can pick off the other stuff. You don't do this with bombers. You don't like hide them when fights are going on. The anti-air, the anti-air going in is a little sketchy, but it's not that bad because you can very easily replace it with another anti-air. I would, of course, probably not do it. I think it was used to clear the comm tower, so it's fine. Ooh, this is a juicy strike for you. Oh my gosh. Your bomber needs to fight. At this point, this is you might as well be down 22,000 in value. This bomber hasn't done anything. It killed a pipe scene, and then it moved 2, and then it moved 1. It needs to be fighting stuff. I'm also not sure why you didn't go and kill this. You have a Neo tank that can get a first strike with a copter against a Neotank on the city, take that kill. You don't need to be hiding these units. Units are very bulky in this game. You don't need to. And like Wargroove, I could understand. You're like, I don't want to send my knight into this unknown area. It could get picked off very easily. It's hard to kill a Neotank. It's like bombers are hard to kill. But so far, it's fairly even. Olaf's been doing great economically, but Max has been doing better engagement-wise. And that's mostly because a big chunk of the economic advantage hasn't actually been fighting yet. Okay. Target number 1 that every bomber ever takes is an anti-air. If a bomber sees an anti-air, a bomber kills an anti-air. That's basically how it goes. So step 1, bomber, kill anti-air. I guess that's fine. I'd probably be setting it more up to the comm tower, but it's okay that we like continue the aggression over here. But still, bomber kills anti-air, and then you like go and you contest the comm tower. Maybe send a Neotank back. I don't know what's going on over here. Start this capture. You've got like a whole army over here. If the army's not supporting infantry that are actually capturing stuff, then the army might as well not be there. You can't have like the really slow play when you're like starting to move onto their side. You kind of need to strike, take what you want to take. In this case, this comm tower. Okay, the bomber's doing something. I would prefer if it went up here, but I'm glad it's moving its full move and like getting in position to strike something. I'm not sure why you're letting him just take your comm tower. You were definitely able to stop that. Sometimes you do just let your opponent take your comm tower. But not in a situation like that, where you have the means to prevent it. And you can see you've like set yourself up so that if he hits you, you will destroy him. But you're not forcing him to hit you. If you want to force him to hit you, you need to start capturing his comm tower. And then you can have units standing back, because he's going to have to move forward to stop you. Right, you get a nice pick off there. Right, this is good. This is not good. Oh, this will be good. Go kill the Neotank. It's going to be a bomber for a Neotank. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's better than the bomber not attacking. If you see a Neotank pick off with this bomber, you kill that Neotank and then you slam into him. You don't need to like... See, now that you're backing up with this huge army, now he can start pressuring you. Now he can start taking this city and then be like, well, now you have to attack me on my terms. He can start doing setups while pressuring you. Like this army being back here isn't doing anything. Oh, you start going in on some of the stuff over here. That Neotank is still very vulnerable. Okay. This is almost the dream scenario for you. He's kind of moved into your range. You have your super up. You've kind of lost a lot on this side. So you're really far down in unit count. But you're still up in unit value. You can get some really good first strikes, and then you can turn on the snow. Okay, that's fine. Winter Fury. I probably would have preferred if the bomber had gone for that, because a Neo tank can kill a tank in one shot. Just like a bomber can, but a bomber can kill the Neo tank. So it worked out better. Ah, you're not charging him. So the snow not only damages all of his units, which makes them a lot easier to kill in one shot, but it also protects you against all of his vehicles that might be too far back to actually hit you back. So if you Winter Fury, you slam into him, especially if he's full on charge. So he's not going to be gaining any charge off of it. It's like in this case, what's he going to do, right? You've damaged all of his units, but you didn't like pressure him, so he can just go and repair all of his units. And then they're going to be fighting fit in a turn. And you won't get anything out of it. You will have seriously hurt a Neo tank. If you've got all the army here, you gotta take the comm tower. You gotta take something. I think this is just a case of... I know he's being very new to fog. So I think it's just a case of being too scared of the fog. The fog is your friend. Hey, there we go. This is great. You're going to need a lot of infantry. You're going to need a lot of infantry in range to replace this at this point, because he's going to have a lot of infantry that he can throw in to deny it, and you're just going to have to run him out of infantry. So don't fall back. Artillery in this forest, probably. Keep your infantry in range. Falling back isn't even... I mean, falling back's not bad, but it's bad against Max. Because Max gets move bonuses. So he zones you more than you think he does. The amount that Max... Not Zach. The amount that Max zones you is so much with 8 movement that you will not be able to cover your cities. So even if you think you're backing up in range, like I'm just barely covering my cities, that's not going to be far enough, because he gets +2 movement and then he can slam into you. And that's why you just don't do the like little retreats against Max like that. Now the bomber is going to get to hit something. If the bomber doesn't hit something at this point, I am going to be shocked. Hey, the refuel. You're starting to win back on this side. That's great. You know he has a bomber over here, so the fighter bet is going to be head over in this direction. Go, bomber, go. No! Hit him. There's no difference between having no bomber and having a bomber that doesn't fight. I know it might feel better to have a bomber, but if the bomber's not fighting, you might as well not have a bomber. Yeah. Somehow you are still up in unit value, even though you're down 29 units. That's just impressive. You've got some very big boys. Those big boys need to do some serious. Oh my gosh, this must have done a ton of damage. 198,000. To 156,000. Over 40,000 damage. Here we go. Kill all the stuff you can. You have a lot of unit count you need. Yay, go bomber! Like, the bomber's gonna die, but that's totally fine. As long as it's, you know, as long as it's done something. Not sure why he did that. Just repair him. And then you resigned. Yeah, I mean, I understand the resign. You're very, very far behind in unit count, although unit value-wise, you're doing great. So, I mean, it's possible you could have stuck in it. If you had found a way to kill his bomber, then you definitely could have stuck in it. Where was your fighter? Oh, okay, well, this is just a general lesson. Before you start doing attacks, move your recon up so you get full vision of his army. I think you probably knew his bomber was there because it attacked you. Definitely, you had prime targets to search for. If you have heavy tanks and bombers as your attacking force, what you want to kill are bombers and anti-air. So if you had vision, you'd see this anti-air, you'd see this bomber, you could easily cleave a path through this copter, through this tank, kill this bomber, kill this tank, kill this anti-air, and then you can fight off this entire force very slowly. And that's just a general fog tactics. Even I mess it up a lot, very often. Get your vision first. It would have definitely been an uphill battle from there, because he can just kind of run away and get these properties, but you could have hinted it off. You generated a lot more money. It was your turn, though. But still, you were like a full turn ahead. Or I guess you were half a turn ahead economically. You just lost like a ton of infantry. The damage value-wise, we can see that you, or your opponent, lost a lot more than you value-wise. But then if we turn this on to unit count-wise, you lost just so many units. And I think that was just because of the like slow play. And then he gets to first strike into you with his power. The bomber did eventually hit something. And then he resigned. But it did get a hit in. What time is it? I think I'll try and look at another game. Yeah, I understand why you keep the bomber so safe is because you're scared of the anti-air. You just have to you have to think about it in the way of was there a point in me buying this bomber? I'm not going to use it. You can try and scout. You can definitely use vision to scout out for anti-air and then snipe them whenever you can. But sometimes you just gotta accept that your bomber is gonna trade for a unit and an anti-air. You're gonna kill the biggest unit that's closest to you so that when they come at you with an anti-air to kill your bomber, you kill that unit and you at least get a 2-for-1 unit trade. Which replay shall be next? All right, we got a game here. I don't know. I do not know what this game was here. I'll load it up on the site so I can know what the game was. Okay. Cat with yarn. This is apparently Cat with Yarn's first ever game. This is a Z game. So this is not a Global League game. It is an automatically generated custom game that you can join at your leisure. They've got a wider breadth of maps to choose from. Yeah, it's not so. Yeah, in Fog, it's not so much that you shouldn't be scared to go aggro. It's when you see that there's a big investment from your opponent in one side of the map, then you don't get scared to go aggro on the other side. Basically, if there's units over there, those units can't be on the other side. That's your game? All right. Cat with Yarn. I'm assuming you're our hero. Make Mr. Lister the evil Redfire. Left. Right. Okay. Okay. Here we go. This is very choke pointy. Lots of rivers. There's an airport over here. We got comm towers in the corner. They look very contestable. Actually, this is a very cheeky forest. I would say that this looks like a really bad Fog map, personally. It's way too choky. And Fog already gives you a defender's advantage. And any forest involved in a wall is impenetrable, except by Sonya, of course. But these comm towers are very contestable. You can just kind of put a artillery in this forest, and then that's really hard to clear out. And it stares right at that comm tower. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. It does take 3 turns to get there, though. So I will, if this map ever gets put up for the map testers, I will probably veto it for Fog. It's, I mean, we'll see. The center's the widest part, but I'm seeing it's like 4 tiles at its greatest width in the middle. That's going to be really hard to bust in fog. It's also going to be really hard to front switch in this map because it's so narrow. There's so many bridges. You're kind of forced to just fight in the middle, maybe? We'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not sure why you bought this mech. Would not recommend that. So, in general, with recons, you kind of want to keep moving them around until they actually find the enemy. You don't usually want to just move them to like the closest forest and sit there forever. I have vetoed maps before. The reason we don't get mechs early on, unless we've got lots of transports, is of course it's because they're slower than infantry, so they don't get to capture the properties as quickly. That's basically it. So it's just like an economic burden on you. It costs 3 times as much as an infantry, and it gets properties slower. So this is classic new player to fog. There's a recon on every front, and they're in a very safe position, and they're just going to be staring at what you would already know. If you're a more experienced fog player, you would already know that there's nothing going to be here, so the recons aren't actually giving you any intel. They need to be looking at places where your opponent could potentially be, and then you can get information from whether or not you see something then. Yeah, I understand this is just your first game. I'm just not going to hold back. It's well, I understand this is your first game in Advanced Wars by Web, and you don't have any experience. I do like that you're moving this recon though. And it's also good that you didn't leave the recon next to a city. Leaving it next to a forest is also not great, but it's also very early in the game, so you're not likely to get hit. So that's good. And you're gonna get some intel here. So this is always gonna be a tough question. Okay, your recon has now spotted a capturing infantry. Do you go for the interrupt? And in general, the answer is yes if you have backup. Yes if it's a property that's not likely to be defended. Yes if you can strike it from defensive terrain. Yes if it's a place that they won't be able to replace the infantry from. If it's none of those situations, then don't strike the infantry because the risk is way too great that they just kill your recon and then replace the infantry. So I would be fine with you striking this infantry. It's kind of out of the way. They're pretty likely to have something that could defend it, but they don't. It's not very likely that they had something that could replace it. And you've got stuff on the way to help defend. You're also against Sonya, so it's very unlikely that they'd be able to one-shot your recon. No comm towers yet, and they have bad luck. Okay. The only difference is, of course, that you do not want to attack from the road. I think the only good terrain you could actually go into the forest. You would go into the forest. You want to take the most defensive terrain possible. Unless you'd have something like a tank that could cover only this tile, then you would attack from that tile. Whew. Thank goodness for Sonya, eh? So now you've got really injured recons, and that's totally fine. Recons provide vision just as well at 1 health as they do at 10 health. So what do you do with this guy? You go run into this forest. You go for this forest, not like this forest, because he's only got 1 unit that can actually reach it. It should be this tank. So he has nothing to give this tank vision to kill you. You don't just you wouldn't want to just charge in like this unless the only time you would do something like this is if you had like some tanks that you wanted to use to kill this tank and you're like, I don't really want to do that if he's got follow-up tanks. So I'm going to go check to see if he's got follow-up tanks. So you would be checking for an engagement you're about to take. But in general, no, you would just go and hide in the forest. Preserve your vision. Not sure why you're not going for this property. So we're going to see. I do like that this mech is out of vision range of this tank. I don't like how it's not being covered by this artillery and vice versa, but okay, this is a great intel for you. You've got a nice juicy target. I'm not sure what happened with this. Oh, I see. You stood there and swung to knock him down to 4 so he doesn't get the property. I guess that's okay. I would prefer to preserve the recon personally. I'd probably interrupt this cap and kill him, and then just have this guy go for this cap. Mr. You are Andy, so keeping the recons alive is even more important because you can heal them up. I can understand what you're saying, where you're like, Sonya's super will shut down Andy because she'll like deny him a turn. But of course, in reality, Andy is like almost a hard counter to Sonya because she just like can't kill his units. Yeah. I know you didn't like know strategy or like tactics or anything at this point in time. No worries. Just Sonya things right there. So this is great positioning down here. You're going to be able to deny this comm tower for a long time. I'm not sure why you stopped this capture. That might have been a misclick or something. Hey, you're in for that though. Hey, you kind of getting vision. Again, strike from the more defendable terrains. Oh, good night, Shadow. Yeah. I like what's going on up here. I like the comm tower denial. I think, this is going to be good for the artillery. I think this is just something a lot of people run into the first time they're playing. I know I ran into a lot when in some of my early games, is just having units get picked off very easily. The presence up here is very good. There's a lot of presence in the middle, which I think the map just kind of forces. So it's very likely that even with just 2 infantry, you can take this property. You can maybe even take the comm tower. This is okay. Ideally, you would attack like from here in a spot where the artillery would cover you. I'm not sure if that's scouting. Okay, no, this is fine. Okay, looks like you're... I'm not sure why this got canceled, but at least it looks like it's going to get picked up. And then this one's going to get picked up. So even though a lot of units have gotten picked off in the middle, as is just likely to happen in your first game, you're not actually doing that poorly economically, and that's good. Ooh, the late game APC. Late game APCs are actually a thing. Of course, ideally, you usually go for the late game transport copter, so you go up in unit count. So this is going to work out pretty well for you. This is kind of the advantage of playing Andy with mechs, is they're not that easy to pick off. You might get it in this case, but he's also fighting you in range of your artillery. So this works out just fine for you. Your opponent's just getting lots and lots of tanks. Usually if you're playing as Sonya, I mean, tanks are good. You're going to want probably at least an anti-air, and I would get plenty of copters. All right, let's see how this... I mean, artillery shot on the road tank looks pretty good. And you can, like, tank, strike this guy, and then 2 infantry to finish him off. And you just build another tank. This is just... this is also something that a lot of people struggle with early on, is optimal transport placement. It's not a huge deal, but you'd place it in the forest so that this guy would move to full 3 to jump into it, and then you would move down and drop it off farther. I like the units getting brought. There we go. That's good. Shooting the tank on the city, it's not the worst thing. Usually you would go for the one on the road just for more damage, but this is a situation where you could like go for the tank shot on here and then the 2 infantry clear the tank off the city. Okay, well, this would also be fine in this situation if the infantry just goes and sits on the city to stop your opponent's tank from hitting from the city. But we also have to keep in mind, of course, that Sonya's unit HP is just question marks actually in the game. So it's very possible that our hero here thought that this was one of the injured tanks. But because we're watching a replay, of course, we actually know what the health of the units are. But that's not something that the player would have at this time. It is his first game. Ooh. Well, this is a really good advantage for Andy here. Like you're very happy when you're in this kind of situation, and then you're getting close to your super. What you can always do is try and sacrifice some exchanges to get to your super, and then you'll go up to 10 health and you'll take the capture. It's just a nice capture trick with Andy, using your super to get the captures that you normally can't, that other COs wouldn't. So it looks like you're actually seeing that. I sadly can't reach. If that can't reach and you're gonna do your super, you would probably save it, because +1 move is enough to reach this recon. But I think you're probably just gonna shoot this guy, so it's fine. Okay, I like this going in. Gotta go, and then I don't know if he'll be able. It's gonna be kind of close. Oh yeah. Ah. I think you just saw that you're not going to be able to actually get your super this turn, so you just went with the cap. Ooh, lots of APCs. Interesting. Yeah, if you'd gotten your super that turn, and getting this comm tower would have been pretty nice. So I approve of going for like this strike over here and the like. I think that's kind of what you had to go for. And then fighting on Sonya's super is always difficult. Oftentimes you just kind of have to not attack. That's not that bad though. That really sucks. That just happens sometimes. Oof. Okay. I'm fine with that then. If you go for those attacks and then you heal up, that's fine. Oh, you had to... I guess you had the base skip. Yeah, anti-aircopter. Well, in the future, if your APC doesn't have something to pick up, you can use it as a nice wall. I mean, this worked out pretty well for you over here. I liked your setup over here with the infantry. I think if you had actually, let's go back. Yeah, if you had waited to use your super before moving this infantry, you would have actually started taking the comm tower, and you would have gotten the comm tower. I think that's a mistake that lots of players make, though. I know I make it, like moving your units before you then give them move with your powers, and missing out on stuff because of it. I do that a lot. I think everyone does. Ooh. I like the block. This is like high. This is what the high level players do. Kind of trap the unit in, especially with APCs. Hey, and it's dead? Hey. That's also very good. I think it's debatable if you want to be on the river, if you want to be here, so you're on the plains and they have to attack you from the bridge, and then you can like have a unit come in and replace the APC and strike back. But either way, you're helping block a choke. So that kind of stuff's really good. It will serve you well in the future. This little maneuver is good to remember. APC blocking chokes, very good to remember. You've been pressuring the corners, going for like the comm towers and stuff. That's also stuff you'd want to do in your typical game. This map is not one I would super recommend, just because of how the layout is for Fog. But when you're playing more of the Global League Fog games, this is definitely what you want to do. You want to have the pressure on the sides, and then just as little as you can get away with investment in the brawl in the center, if there's a brawl in the center. So I'm liking this. I like these forces going up here. This is like a prime target for you to try and take. This is pretty good. I don't know if that artillery could have gone to a forest. At least, putting the artillery on a defensible terrain in general is good. Usually you go forest, just because it takes they have to like fill a whole square to even see it. But putting it on the city is not bad. It's good defense, and it repairs it after it gets hit. And then the anti-air is, of course, a great choice. As you see this copter here. And while you were getting pretty rolled early on, when it's coming down to like defending in the range of this base, you've definitely upped your game. And you're Andy, so you don't really care if you first strikes your copter when you've got an anti-air to respond. Did you get to heal your copter up? Of course, at this point, the unit count disparity. There we go. Is rough. Oh, okay. I think that was just a case of not knowing how Sonya's super works. And I think everyone goes through that. It's okay. It's one of those like lessons you learn once and never forget. I think at this point the game is pretty much over. Yeah. I like the anti-air coming in from the other base, because they're just going to get picked off if it gets built here. But if you can sneak one in, you can pick off the air units without them expecting, because they can sometimes feel overconfident when they're like taking a base, and then reinforcements from another base can completely swing the tide. Or turn the tide. There we go. This is kind of what you have to do in these kind of situations where you're getting overrun, but there's like choke points. Usually you'd build some more indirects, but then you'd have, your stuff like in a little ball by the choke point. It is the correct thing to do to try and hold on. And I like how you're protecting your anti-airs. A lot of people kind of just throw them out there. You're being very protective of them, and look, this one's gonna get a pick off. This one, it's not quite gonna get the pick off, but you've got little traps all around. This is kind of like the thing that you'd want to have been doing early on. I guess you had the one with the artillery here. But definitely utilizing forests is very effective. As for what you can do in this situation, you sadly can't clear the recon. You don't have a comm tower, so I don't... Yeah, you can like almost... Oh! That would have been amazing. So after you go for that strike, you would then move your artillery onto the city. Oh, just like that. Very nice. And now you can't really break this. When your opponent should just take that, yeah, and take the HQ. But on the side here where you're defending, he can't break it, as we see. I don't know if there is a capture limit, because this is a Z game. It's not a league game. Yeah, after this game, you're gonna like forever remember Sonya Supers for Copter Wars. Oh, that's a great move. Sonya Supers for Copter Wars. You don't engage him. It's a great block though. Your opponent, there we go, just needs to take the HQ. So I saw a lot of, towards the end there where you're getting desperate around the bases, there was actually quite a bit of tactical promise, and I liked the pressure you were putting on the sides instead of just trying to invest everything in the middle. Obviously, this was your first game, so there was a lot of strategical and unit composition and unit buys and capture game mistakes, which I think everyone has. But if you can like retain while kind of learning from those mistakes. This is also your first game. You've moved on from that. But you can retain the side pressure and the like blocking in with traps you did up here and the walling techniques as you get better at the game. They will serve you very well. You were definitely learning as the game went on, that's for sure. And I have a feeling you're never going to forget that Sonya Super makes her first strike. Okay, we've got a replay here. Is it this one? It is from Rosmach. Jake vs. Grimm. This is Jake vs. Grimm. Oh, it's a tiny map. Super tiny map. I don't think I know this map. Is this must not be a league map. What maps have I vetoed and why? Oh boy. Let's see if I can find one of the maps I vetoed, and I think it'll be very apparent. If I veto a map, it's usually because it's just not fun. There's been maps where I've given like soft nose to. that haven't, I don't think made it into League. And then there's been 2 maps that I gave a really hard no to. Let's see if I can find it. Oh, I was looking at League games. It would not be a League game. This one. I gave this map a hard no. You'll note that if you are Sammy or if you are Drake, you can move your black boat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, because of that +1 movement. As you build an infantry, you can do this with player 1, I guess it's faster. And then next turn, you move your infantry into the black boat. So that was on turn 1. So this is turn 2. Infantry into black boat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Drop off. Turn 2. Turn 3, start the HQ cap. I did play a test game on this, which I did win because I saw the HQ cap shenanigans miles away. But yeah, I gave this map a hard no. A map where Drake or Sammy can start capping your HQ on turn 3 in Fog is a big no to me, from me. In the game I played on this, I stopped the HQ cap because I saw it coming, and then I just trapped in his black boats with my black boats and lander and killed them with artillery and then surrendered. I do not know how this is C ranked. It should not be on here. Whatever. Another map I gave a no to. I gave a no to this map. I like it. It wasn't a hard no. But I said it shouldn't be a map in the Global League. But I like it. This is swamp with a bunch of asterisks. It looks super cool. The problem with it is, of course, that the rush distance between the bases is really, really, really short. So it's kind of toxic for the fighting. And also, these 2 base sides is also the airport side, so there's very lopsided power between the 2 sides. But I really like the design of this map. If it was bigger, it'd be better. It's fun to play on, kind of. But like this rush distance is outrageous and it's over road. Mechs are very strong on this map. But this is a lot better of a map than the other one. This one has promise. Anyway, back to the game. Oh, let's turn Brasmac into the... Seems like it should just be a city instead of a base. I could see that. Just make it a 2-base map. Yeah, maybe. You can try playing on it. I'm sure someone would join a Z game. Okay. So far things look like they're going pretty well. Going for the more contested properties first is good. Going for this airport's nice. It goes into a chain. Oh, I have seen this map before. It was shown to me with a Von Bolt versus Sasha game, right? This is a League game. It's just a really tiny map on League. Yeah, this is the map where you can pretty easily get an airport lock. And the airport itself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, can contest like all of these properties as soon as you build a copter. So you kind of have to get the harbor really quickly before they can build a copter. Yeah, and of course artillery are going to be really strong because like the choke points are insane in the middle. Very tiny map. So far, I mean, I like the artillery buy. So far, it's going very well. I think instead of a tank, you definitely get a battle copter. It's immediately got targets, and he doesn't have an anti-air in play, so this is just going to be a free hit for you. You can even kill it, capture, like stop your cap and finish this off, or like hit it and finish it off. But the copter being built here would have immediately a target to hit, and there's nothing that can capture it. Yeah, I think you have to go for the harbor really fast, otherwise they build a copter and then you never get the harbor. So if you're like looking on this map and you're the Penguins, and you're like, I don't know what I want to do to get some play, look at this harbor. It's pretty far away from your opponent's bases. It's kind of equidistant between your two bases, and you have an airport right here. Take the harbor from them. That's the first goal. You're looking for like, what are the weak properties I can take? That's the weakest property. Similarly, this is your weakest property. And if you want to defend it, you're going to need an anti-air. And you're going to need to have the anti-air out on the field before they get a copter. Now this copter's in play, you just can't do anything over here right now. Like, grab a copter. There we go. Very nice. Anti-air. Yeah, the classic thing is, of course, anti-air in response to copter. But on a map this small and an airport this forward, you probably want to get an anti-air before the copter. If your anti-air stops the copter from being built ever, then that would be really good. But they're going to build a copter. Okay, so your opponent is moving in on you over here, but I'm pretty sure that's fine for you. Yeah, definitely take the first strike. And yeah, you want to hit all of these infantry. That way, even if he clears you out, he can't really take your stuff. I like this flank you got set up with this tank. He's going to have to wall you off with an infantry, but you are also zoning out his anti-air that wants to come after your copter. I understand why you're not moving this. It's because you're like guarding this, but you can still guard that from over here. And you're not so worried about taking a single hit from an infantry, because you'll be able to use this infantry and maybe even this copter if you want to kill him for it. Okay. So he's just kind of giving you this. Well, he's not giving you the copter, but he's kind of giving you the copter. You get the anti-air strike. I mean, I think you can actually probably copter kills this infantry kills this tank. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Your tank hits his artillery as your anti-air kill his copter, and he's just totally wiped out. You can see like harbors are definitely the first thing to fall. They're like impossible to keep unless you have the anti-air much earlier. So let's see if you do that. Okay. Ooh, I mean that. Yeah. Well, you can still do it. Okay, you still got there. Don't do that though. It's totally fine to. It's better to preserve your unit count than to get a little bit of chip damage on his, or not chip damage, but damage on his infantry when you have infantry covering the caps to contest them. I'm not sure why you're just scooting down a single tile with this tank. It looks like it's because you're trying to zone his anti-air. His anti-air doesn't really hit anything that you care about. He could hit here but get walloped by this artillery. So definitely charge in here, either hit this tank or kill his arty. I guess you're also walling for this capture. But when you're doing captures like this and you have an advantage in infantry count, you don't care if he hits you, because then you just kill his infantry and continue the capture. Yeah. So because you can get the strikes over here, he gets the first strike here, and now his anti-air is covering his tank. It might have been a roll for him to knock you down to 3. Very unfortunate. Yeah. I would have been fine with you hitting either, but you would have wanted to hit one of them. This is always a tough thing to trade to the side. I think in general you wouldn't want to do this just because he's got you with a copter chain. So you're going to hit his copter down to 2. But then you'll just lose your copter. Although you do have the 4 health anti-air here, but he can pick it off. Maybe he can't. He'd have to find a way of killing this, or he could just hit it with infantry, I guess. Keeping the anti-air healthy is, yeah, what I would prioritize for not hitting the tank instead of hitting the artillery. Yeah, he still found a way. Okay, but you have your super, and then the question is, do you use it? It gives you this shot. 1, 2, 3. It doesn't give you this tank hit. If it gave you this tank hit, I would do it for sure. So because this tank doesn't get a good target, I think the play is to keep your super for one more turn and let yourself reposition. And it looks like that's what you're doing. And that is very good. Even like 1500 level players will just be like, oh, I have my super, I'm going to press it. So this is like one of the best skills to keep in your like toolbox. Being patient with your supers, is you don't want to use them just so you can get more charge later on. You want to use them to actually achieve something. And even if you don't use the super, your opponent has to play around the fact that you could use the super. Okay, so you use it here. See what the reason is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, you could hit this anyway. I think you could kill this anyway. But so far, I mean, I guess you've got faster reinforcements from that. Does tank get a good shot? No. I think this was a case of wanting to hold the super again. Yeah. You can definitely move this artillery too. Yeah. So it was really good that you held the super for one turn. You just need to hold it for another turn. But you've shown that you've got the wherewithal to do it. There's so many of these little step backs. Usually you don't want to do that kind of thing. The main reason is that you're just giving up space on the map, which gives your opponent opportunities to take your stuff. I mean, sometimes it's good if you're like, I can't fight his army, I don't have whatever counter unit. Then you can kind of inch back or whatever until you do. But otherwise, all that's happening is you're unprotecting your properties. Like in this case. And soon your HQ. It's kind of like... building your units to have a purpose, I think, is kind of part of that. You're like, you're not quite sure what you want to do. And you're like way back here, building from your base, stepping backwards. And then eventually you're going to be kind of forced to attack. And it's going to become very awkward. He built a battleship? Well, if I was your opponent, I would not have built a battleship here. If I wanted to build a big, expensive boat, it would definitely be a carrier. And then you just wouldn't have an airport anymore. The problem with building a battleship is that it's in range of an airport. So he's going to have to constantly protect this from all of the copiers you're going to be building. He went slightly ahead. Yeah. It's not even that far ahead. Just his pressure's doing a lot more. Ooh, he's really going in there. Oh, he's got the trap on you, but it's not a real trap because you can just free yourself with your artillery. You got the block rock. Can you just kill his battleship? Probably not. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You'd have to... If you could kill this tank with... I don't know if this kills. Oh, it does. Does that kill his battleship? Oh my gosh. What? I mean, that's fine. Probably should have killed the battleship and just build another copter. I mean, he is going to cost him a lot in repairs. The 5 health battleship still hits pretty hard. Yeah, the repair cost is a lot. I mean, if you can clear out everything somehow, then I'd say it's worth it. But I don't see how you're possibly going to clear out these anti-airs. I like how you managed to fight him off over here, though. I wasn't even paying attention. I was too distracted by the battleship. I mean, it looks like he kills 2 copters. Oh, he doesn't go for the 2 copter kill. I guess he just didn't want to be in artillery range. That's fine. This is suddenly became a very slow game of... Oh, yeah, okay, he then killed the battleship. Okay. That's good. You sunk his battleship. That is a lot of repair cost. Yeah, I don't know what's going on this side. There's just a bunch of units staring at each other and neither player is trying to take the properties. And Grimm's suddenly realized, like, oh, I'm not actually doing anything over here with these units, and I just lost my battleship. I should probably start moving over to the actual fight. It looks like you're starting to follow him, which is something you can do. The other choice is, of course, as soon as he starts leaving here, you start attacking. So at the very least, what I'd like you to do is move this infantry to here, so you could then threaten to take the harbor. Well, I think the medium tank's scared of the artillery and the copters. You don't really need more units to engage against the indirect, if that's what you were saying there, because your medium tank will kill a tank that's blocking or an infantry that's blocking, and then your tank can come in and kill his artillery. You've got a wall breaker. I mean, if he saves up for like another battleship, he's gonna lose. Grim is a really hard CO to use. Usually there's lots of copters. There's lots of I forget what they're called. They're not called gap walls. Basically, it's instead of having your infantry forming a wall right in front of your units, You have your infantry forming a wall, like 4 tiles in front of your units or something, your vehicles, so that if your opponent first strikes your wall with vehicles, they can't burst through and then kill your vehicles. And then your vehicles can just hit whatever hits your wall. It's a lot slower and has a lot less pressure, but it's a way to keep your stuff from getting first struck very often, which is kind of what Grim needs to do. It has a term for it. Hey, you're pushing the harbor. Very nice. And you've got the airport lock. That's very good. Surprised that killed. Oh, he's super. Okay, that's why. Surprised he didn't go for your medium tank. I mean, that was pretty nasty, but you've definitely got counterplay here. So it's not that bad. Hey, even got the chip. Oh my gosh. 2 health anti-air. 5 damage. So this is starting to look very good. He's got a problem with it. He doesn't quite have enough infantry with his attacking force to really make you care that he has all these vehicles by your comm tower. This seems like an awful play. I guess your medium tank isn't in position to actually punish, but the artillery shot's going to do a ton. A mech buy. I guess that's just forced by the economics of the situation. I guess it's not that bad. You got knocked down to 5. Yeah, I mean, things are starting to look very good for you up here, though. He's kind of overextending himself a bit. This is very good what's happening over here, though. You probably want to... I mean, the anti-air being there is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Well, this is also perfectly fine for you. You get to kill the copter, you get to kill these 2 units, and then you can block with your infantry, and there's nothing you can do about that. He is way too invested in this attack. Gosh. Oh, I see. You did that so you can kill the anti-air. That makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that's good. Well, this is actually fine to do as long as you cancel this capture and start capturing his airport. Because otherwise he can bust through and take out your anti-air and you'll be really sad. No! I have a feeling you're about to be very sad. This copters will rule the day. He must be getting really close to the capture victory. I mean, it's... I don't know, maybe you had to take this, or otherwise you would have lost to the capture victory. I don't know if it's 19. But losing that anti-air is just so bad. You could have also just gone up here and gone after the 9 health one and been much safer. The 9 health copter, that is. Does this mech not get this roll? That would be so sad. No, I got the roll. You're fine. You get to kill lots of stuff now. More copters. Oh, you didn't build another copter. I guess that's fair. You're like 3's enough. He supered. That's a really weird super. I like this pullback. It's very responsible. I wasn't a huge fan of this attack, but that's fine. This is a long game. Well, this is great. You've made like a buffer zone. And you've got infantry in place to start taking these properties back. Yeah, he didn't really get any value out of that super. That's a fighter? Well, fighter is great news for you. Just keep an anti-air near your copters, and I mean, that's over a whole turn of income for him. If he wasn't Grim, I'd be much happier with the fight. If he was like Andy, then that would be amazing. But the Grim fighter, not so much. Hey, you're starting to get some of your money back. Gonna get some nice first strikes here. Probably should have just shot it with your 1 health artillery and then killed an infantry. Unless you repair this. I'm not sure what you're doing with that. Just barely covers all your copters. Oh, this is great news for you. You can kill that, or you'll either kill it or get really close to killing it, and then you can pop your super. Although, you might just want to save your super. I thought that would give you more. Oh, it's because you guys have already used a bunch of powers. You're getting super expensive. The medium tank blocks the cap. Well, things are starting to look up for you. Look at that, you've evened the income. You're locking the airport so he can't take it from you. You're being very safe with your anti-air, which is incredibly important. You're being very unsafe with that tank. I don't know about doing that. He does have 2 medium tanks tier 1. A rocket? I understand. You're like, well, he's got an artillery here. I don't know how to push him out of here. It seems impossible. I'll just bring a rocket and you'll have to respect that zone. Very dangerous to build a rocket against Grim, of course. Because if anyone can wall break, Grim can wall break. He went for a very aggressive roll there. Block, rock. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And almost shoot. Pow. Alright, looking good. I guess you kill a medium tank. And just trade out medium tank for medium tank. That's probably what's about to happen. No. Medium tank in the wall. That's fine. I'm okay with that. When he resigned, you are up a lot unit count wise. That was a wild game. It seemed like a game where Grim had an idea of what he wanted to do in the opening. He had some good tactical awareness, and then he just had no idea how he wanted to close out the game. He just kind of like slow pushed into the bases, overextending a lot, and then running into problems. I imagine you were like, oh my gosh, you were so far behind economically for so long. Whew. He must have been like one city off of that capture. The capture victory. I don't know how many properties he needed to win, but it must have been really close. My gosh, he almost generated 100,000 more funds than you did. But like I've said before, it's, you know, it comes down to the different metrics in the game. It's not all just money. You've got positioning, you've got unit count, you got unit value, you got income, you've got power charge. And it worked out well for you. The capture limit is 20. Was he at 19? Did you get to 19? That's 15. As I tick up, 16, 17, you get to 18? He's off by 2. Oof. Let's go back to where he had. Yeah. He had 18,000 for so long. You just need to take these two, I guess? Or this airport. You held on just enough. You got that unit count going for you. He was ahead of you in here unit count. And like everything except for positioning. His positioning was just so bad that even though he's ahead in every single other metric, it doesn't matter. Tom towers don't count. That's definitely a GG, and I think we'll end the stream on that one. That was a heck of a game. It's almost been 4 hours, so I will definitely end it there. I wish everyone a good night, and I'll see you tomorrow.